The lead singer of Marillion, his name is Steve Hogarth. Hi, Steve. Good to see you. Now, shall I call you Steve or Hoagie?
No, call me Steve.
Okay, it will be Steve. Now, the first album you recorded with Marillion was called Season's End. You just finished your second album with Marillion. Was there any difference in making them?
Well, making Holidays in Eden took, for me, quite a lot longer because when we did Season's End, the band already had a lot of music written. Whereas with this one, I was in from the very first day. So we went to a farm in the south of England in June last year. And every day we would get up and have breakfast and then we would jam all day. And if we had an idea, we recorded it. And if we didn't, we went to the pub. And we did that for 6 months until we'd had enough good ideas, really.
Now, there should have been a moment, maybe with your first gig with Marillion, that you thought, you know, I'm a rock star in a big band. Can you remember, like, one nice special story?
Well, somebody came up to me one night while we were in the Midlands, and I was watching the support band, and he came over and he said to me, I love my wife, and she loves me, but she loves you even more. And I thought he was going to kill me. But then he said, could I have your autograph? And I said, yeah, of course you can. So I gave him my autograph. And he came back about 5 minutes later and he handed me this brassiere, right? Which was still warm, which apparently was hers. So that wasn't kind of funny, but it was a bit kind of odd. He wanted me to have his wife's underwear. I'm wearing it, actually, tonight.
Do you have, like, one favorite song on Holidays on Eden?
Cool. I think it'll probably change, because what tends to happen is you start off with a favorite, and then you go off it and you go, oh no, that one's my favorite, and then you know, with time it keeps changing. But at the moment, I think Splintering Heart's my favorite song. I wrote the words to it in Toronto last January. I was on my way up the CN Tower, which is that really tall tower in Toronto that they're always going on about. I went up there to see that as a tourist, and I wrote the words to the song there. And we wrote the majority of music for it at sound checks during the tour. We wrote half of it in Philadelphia and half of it in Milwaukee. And then we completely took it to bits again and rearranged it when we were in the studio. Chris Neal, the producer, had quite a lot to do with that. And I'm just really pleased with the way it turns out. It's the first song on the album.
Now, you just mentioned Chris Neal. How did you team up with this guy?
Well, he'd phoned us up when we were thinking about doing Season's End and offered to produce Season's End, and we didn't feel it would be a good idea at the time. We wanted to produce the album ourselves. But the idea kind of stuck with us, and when we came to do Holidays in Eden, we thought he'd be good. He's got a son. Shows how old we are. He's got a son who's a big fan of Marillion, and his son plays the albums all the time, and so he'd got into the music too. And he said, "Look, I'm really into the music, and I think I could do a good job." And he told really good jokes as well, so we decided we should use him.
Your new single, Cover My Eyes, has got this great video clip. How did you get the idea for that video?
Well, I had this idea. I was reading about virtual realities, which are the next phase of computer-generated experience, where basically instead of looking at a screen and twiddling with knobs, if you can actually have a system which projects three-dimensional images into your mind. And you can interact with them by wearing certain items of sensory equipment, so that you can, for instance, walk down a street, turn left, turn right, open a door, go into a room, pick something up, and everything that you're doing with your body is reacted to by the computer as though it's real. And I started thinking about the the potential of a system like this for in the field of pornography, really, and sexual entertainment. And so the song is all about. The song is like a little shopping list of dream images of women, anyway. So I was really thinking, what if there was a machine where you could have a designer dream? You place a cassette in a machine, and you can design the dream of your choice. So these are sort of examples of some of the dreams I might design.
Well, we'll see you on stage in a moment. I'd like to know what your favorite video is, a question we always ask.
Well, I had a bit of a dilemma with this one, didn't I? Because we were going on about it earlier, and I didn't know whether it should be like my favorite video or my favorite song. But in the end, I decided that I'd like to show a band that doesn't get too much exposure and deserves to get more. So I've picked the Downtown Lights by the Blue Nile, who are my favorite group.
Well, I think I'll officially announce it. Thanks for being here. Blue Nile, this is Downtown Lights.
Hi, I'm Seal, and you're watching Europe's #1 rock show, Countdown. And I'm watching you, watching me, watching you, watching me. So there.